and welcome to Add More Zest. My name's Rebecca, also known as 4Kids at 147, and it's time to get a bit of my heaven and earth design done. As you can see, I have not got very far. We are now Advent packing in this house. As I'm filming this, we are still waiting on one item to arrive, but we're doing a lot of sort of prep work that we can on everything else. Just sort of extra bits that'll just make things go a little bit smoother. We were going to do them once everything was here, but it's summer holidays. We've just decided we are starting. So I think my heaven and earth design is not going to see great leaps and bounds at the moment. I think if I'm just being honest, it's not going to. But I will get at least one section a week done when I do the WIP and Waffle. And that's just what I'm going to have to stick to at the moment, I think, in all honesty, and we'll just go from there. My 2023 goal is still achievable because things will calm down. Okay, this glue dot is not very sticky at all, so I'm going to bob a new glue dot in this wooden pen. I wasn't sure if it was going to be sticky enough, and I'm just going to bob a new one in. Let's not mess. So I'm using the ones that we sell in the shop, just taking one off, rolling it around in my finger to sort of a fat sausage rather than a really skinny sausage, and then just popping it in the pen. And now we'll find it is major sticky, but hopefully it'll just need a little bit of priming, little bit of a dab on my face every now and then to make it all right. But yeah, I hope everybody is having a great week. As I say, we're getting busy with sort of Advent prep here at the moment, which is rather exciting. Quite a few different things being done. But yeah, it's organised chaos. There is organisation to it, there is a little bit of chaos to it, but it's all working out. It's all working out in the end. But yeah, my heaven and earth design has taken a bit of a backseat, to be fair. I do keep saying to myself, oh, I really need to do some today, but I've got a couple of other things on the go that I sort of need to prioritise alongside Advent, so it's just not happened, unfortunately. Right, hang on, that was the 2 and the 1, that's that one. Getting myself confused with how much I'd marked off then. But yeah, I hope everybody is having, as I say, an amazing week, whatever it may be for you in your period of life at the moment. Whether it be chaotic or whether it be calm, it's all good. So comments, there's been a lot of comments in the last couple of weeks because of course I did ask for everybody's opinion in relation to my mini heaven and earth design. I think I've made my mind up. I thought I was going to have made my mind up by the end of last week's, but I hit a snag. So I will let you know of that snag ever so shortly, but I'll go through a few more comments from last week's first, just in case there's anything in there that sort of resonates and makes me go, oh, actually, I should do this. Okay, is that what I've got? Yeah. So SW says if the black and white was going to hang in their home, then they would redo it. If not, they would work on it the way that it is. Peace Serenity, she says hi, and she says she loves the heaven and earth design. She says she's doing one as well, and she has been working on it for a year now. She says her 2 Canadian cents worth would be to start again. She says poured glue all the way. She says Ever Moments blank poured glue canvas is amazing to work with. She said they are now numbered in 10 by 10 squares and it makes the counting much easier. Kim says she barely noticed the colour difference. However, she isn't seeing it in person. She says she's so new to this craft, she says that she can't vote. You can. I can get if you don't know how to vote because you're new. But she says if the comment can't convince you, she says throw it in your decision wheel. My decision wheel helps me make so many decisions. She says it would be interesting to know, she says, how difficult it would be to separate these whites so the problem won't be repeated. So in relation to it being repeated, as I have in my spares for my Heaven and Earth design, so all my extra diamonds, I do have some whiter whites that are separate. I think when I've sort of tipped the first lot in, I've not realised that my next lot were a whiter white, and therefore that's what's actually caused me the problem, is it's the first batch that I've put down. And while I probably could have used a second batch that was about the same, I have more that is white, which is why that tends to be the colour that's gone for. So going forward, I do have a section that is whiter white, and I would just make sure that those bags are all together so that it doesn't happen again in the future on one. So yeah, I can sort of stop it happening now. I realise that that's what I've done, is grabbed the more creamy white to start off with, and stop the problem reoccurring by making sure that I stick to that whiter white. And I could potentially, even all the whiter whites, take them all at the beginning if I do restart and mix them all together from the beginning, because I don't mind the odd scattering of different ones. But at the moment it's not a scattering, it's blocky, which is causing the problem. Laura, she says, hi Rebecca, she says she is far from being an experienced diamond painter, but she is experienced in lack of patience. She said she would order a new canvas with poured glue. She said she did have a thought. She said, have you thought of getting a mica powder? She says she's in the US and Amazon does sell a selection of 36 sample colours for $10. She says, and they do have a bright white. She said you could try dusting a little on your dull white drills and see if it would help to blend the colours. That is a very good suggestion, actually. I don't know how much it would work. It may be that I would have to sort of put glue on top of the diamonds and try and help a colour. But that is a good something that potentially could be attempted to see. And then she says maybe then you wouldn't have to start over. She said, thanks for all you do, you're the best. Oh, thank you. KS says, opinion 5. She says, add a thin adhesive on the birds and brush over a fine mica powder. So that's another one with a mica powder suggestion, which may well work. I'm not sure how well, but it does have potential to work, which is something. Whether I have the patience to test it at the moment, the answer is probably no. Whether I will in the future, maybe. I've just popped a black one in a gap I had. I did know I had the gap, but I didn't have any black or 939 down here. It's the 939 is fitting quite tight. I'm actually not sure if it probably should have had a 939 there, but I've popped a black because I've got a few more different sizes of blacks. So I can sort of cheat and put a smaller one in. Blossom Chops, she says, what would be nice if feasible, she said, would be for you to do a video of packing the Advent. Not necessarily to show us now, she says, but maybe as a between Christmas and New Year. I'll see if I can set something up in the kitchen. It may be dependent on lighting. Lighting can be a bit sketchy in the kitchen, primarily because we've stuck a conservatory on the outside window to the house. But yeah, that's something I was thinking of doing, is to try and do a couple of videos while packing it, and depending on what can be seen, if anything, will depend on whether it's shown before or after Christmas. If I'm able to do one of me just popping the already sealed bags into the box, maybe that could be a before Christmas, and then maybe do the after Christmas, you know, where you see more of the items being dealt with. I'm not sure. It is in my brain though. Crystal says, as usual, she says, another great WIP and Waffle. She said she loves the Thursday Heaven and Earth Design WIP and Waffle. She says they are her favourite, apart from the June and the December ones. She says there is no way that she would want to remove all those diamonds from a double-sided tape canvas. She says, like your black and white canvases, she says she'd definitely start over with a new canvas. She says because once she saw the line, she would always see it. So once it's been seen, which is partly the problem, is it's been seen now. She says then it would end up in the trash for sure. She says, and after all those hours of work, she said she would be gutted. She said, thanks again and have a great launch weekend. Thank you. We did have a great launch weekend. I feel like the next one is creeping up on us so quick as well. Before I know it, we'll be on the big September launch. But yeah, we do have an August one to go first, a smaller one to go. Nancy says, thank you for the info on the Word document, which is just how I made a very, very basic table to mark off the sections that I'm doing for this Heaven and Earth design, so that I can sort of track how far I'm getting. She says she's made them up for all three of hers, and she's planning another one. She says she's purchased a clearance kit from a Prime site and she's going to use that canvas. She says depending on how her first three go. Sometimes things go to plan and sometimes things do anything but go to plan. Brenda said on the topic of names, she says her mother saw a name on a dress shop in Montreal, Canada, which was Brenda, she says, and that's how she got her name. She said she was riding on a streetcar at the time. She says that's to let you know how long ago it was. It was actually a clothing designer's name that made me decide how to spell Catherine. So hubby picked the name Catherine, and as typical hubby fashion, he was not fussed how it was spelt. But yeah, how it was spelt was actually a designer's name for kids' clothes, because of course I was buying clothes for 3 other children at the time. It's not like a full-on designer name, it was just the name that was the person who did design them, but it wasn't like designer prices, if that makes sense. They were designed by someone, as pretty much all style of clothes are, but yeah, it was a French company that did kids clothes, and they did name the designers of the clothes, and that's how I picked how her name was going to be spelt. Magic Moonchild, she says, personally the difference in the colour would not bother her, but it's my painting, she says, and she knows that I'm particular, she says, in the best way possible, she said about these things. Thank you. She said she would say to start again on a nice poured glue canvas. She says maybe instead of using your spares for that colour, she says you could get a whole batch of that colour at the same time from the same store, she says, so there is no variations in it. She says she feels like that's the kind of colour that it's very easy to spot a difference on. Yeah, and I think that's partly what's ended up happening. I think what I will do is I will take all, I think I'll still use my spares, but I think I'll take all my 5200 that looks the bright white, which is what I want to be using, and I will mix them all together. So therefore, if there is any very, very slight variations in its brightness, they will be scattered throughout, which I'm fine with being scattered, which is why there potentially was an option to take some off and replace them. It's just the tediousness of it, especially on a poured glue canvas. It is just frankly horrific to do. It's a horrific job to do. Susan says, or you could say the bird is shaded. There is that. Janet says if it was her diamond painting, she would ignore the slight colour difference in the whites. She says, that being said, she said she thinks it would drive me batty and I would be much better or much happier ordering a new canvas. It's amazing how you lot really do get to know me. I love the fact that you're giving your opinions as well, like what you would do. Yeah, I find it sort of, you know, nice to know who or how many would prefer to stick with the canvas and how many of you guys would prefer to change it. My mum did tell me that, knowing me, she says I should do a new canvas, and I have probably slightly swayed a little bit more towards a replacement canvas, but I think that's also because there is a better option for a canvas out there. If I would have been swapping it for another poured glue canvas, so exactly the same style of canvas that I have, I don't know whether I would. I think I would either live with it or maybe change a couple of diamonds, but over a really long period of time and not have to sit there and do them all. and make it more of a, each time I work on it I change 5 and see how long it takes me to sort it out. She says picking off that many incorrect diamonds sounds like a nightmare. And that's true. That is the biggest thing that sounds like a nightmare to me, and the reason I don't particularly want to try and rescue the canvas. Polly also says she personally would start over. So in relation to starting over, I did, after finishing the WIP and Waffle for last week, I did think, right, I'm going to start over. I'm going to get an Ever Moment canvas because I do love their canvas and diamonds. I've been meaning to order a diamond painting anyway. It was like, do I just, you know, order the both of them together and just go and do it? And I went and looked at their blank canvases, and they have 2 listings. One is for larger ones and one is for small medium ones. Now, at first I just went on the sizing of the last canvas that I got, which was bigger than the picture, but I thought rather than do the math and figure out what size canvas I actually need, let's just go and have a look at getting exactly the same canvas where I need to actually trim it down a bit. And it was 60 odd quid. 60 odd pounds, because that was getting a 70 by 100, I think, which isn't the size that I need, but it was the size that I got last time, because the seller quoted me a ridiculous price for the smaller one, and yet they sold one that I could cut down without it having to be a special order. So that made me then question it again. I am not spending £70 on a blank canvas. I can imagine if I was doing another big one like this one, you know, and really wanted to do the big project, it would probably be worth spending a bigger amount on a canvas to get a really nice one, nice to work with, all the rest of it. But I was not spending it to do my mini Heaven and Earth design, especially when it's a replacement canvas in effect. Not that that's Ever Moment's problem, but that was my thoughts. When I was on the phone to my mum the other day, I did say that I'd seen that sort of price, wasn't interested, but I did need to have a look at the true size. And I remembered that my little sheet of paper, my little sheets that I've done to say what I'm working on, I have got the size on the bottom. So if that size is true, which again, I do want to double check it, whether it, I'm pretty sure that that is me working it out. I'm almost certain, but it was over a year ago. So I want to double check, because at the minute I'm only really up here on this one, so I've got quite a lot to do. Yeah, if I go by that size, the canvas is more like £30, which I'm sure you can agree with me. £30 is a lot more reasonable than 70. And it is for the Ever Moment canvas, so I could possibly find one cheaper, but I also think if I'm going to redo it, I want to redo it for another reason and not just for the reason that the colour's wrong. So I'm going to double check my size. It is sort of on my list to do. And I think I'm going to order an Ever Moment canvas and do it, you know, the fact that I'm doing it on an Ever Moment canvas will sort of warrant redoing some. I may redo, I may not start it until next year. I'm not sure. It really will depend on how long it takes for me to finish this one. And, you know, sort of timings by the time I've got this one finished, how close it would be to December Advent, because this keeps getting pushed back because of all the prep work and stuff that we're doing. So it may well be a 2024 project. But yeah, I think I'm going to order an Evermoment, just so you know. I've just not actually done it yet because I need to check the sizes, and I've got so much other stuff going on, and if I, you know, I'm not going to start it until I've finished this one and dekitted this one, so I also don't need to be in a panic about how quick I get the canvas. But that's my thoughts. Jen, she says, hi Rebecca. She says, without our middle initials, her brother's initials are BR and her initials are JR. She says, so although her brothers were British Whale as a kid, she kept being asked who shot her. Love it. It is amazing what kids can come up with, isn't it? Really. They can take anything and turn it into something else. It's hilarious. Well, sometimes it's hilarious. Other times it's not. It's downright mean. But sometimes they can come out with something so funny. But yeah. Did you ever answer them as to who did shoot you? Jen? Did you ever say who did shoot you? Nancy, she says, hi Rebecca. She says, if she was in my position, she would continue to work on the existing canvas. She says she thinks that the use of spare drills will continue to have the same issue as you progress through the image. She says the colour variations in a multicolour canvas would not show the difference in diamonds. She says, but black and white definitely will. She said, is it your plan to put this image on a wall? Which it's not at the moment. That's not to say I won't want to in the future, but it's not necessarily my plan straight away, is to put it on a wall. Maybe I'll have a look actually at Evermoment's pricing to provide the diamonds as well, and see how, you know, if it becomes a ridiculous price, because maybe that would just be a nice different way to do the project, because this one's been done with spares, so that'll probably take me longer to make a decision. But maybe I could see how much it would cost to get the diamonds from Evermoment and actually do it as a different style project while I'm potentially redoing it anyway, and actually get all the diamonds as well as the canvas. She says if it's just for the adventure of doing the work, she said, then it would not be worth it for her. She said just her 2 cents worth. Thank you. I do appreciate everybody's 2 cents worth. And you make very, very valid points, and some of the points that have very much made me think, nah, let's just carry on. I think it's the attraction of trying the Evermoment canvas that is drawing me to it, because it would be years otherwise before I would potentially do another one and therefore try an Evermoment canvas, because I have the other Heaven and Earth design canvas to try first. So it'd be quite a few years down the line, whereas this would be a way of, in effect, trying out the canvas sooner, and giving another scope, another way of looking at a Heaven and Earth design and how to do it. and that's partly what, you know, drives or warrants me changing things up. Is it's a different viewpoint for YouTube as well. It's a different bit of excitement for me too. Nancy also says, she says, further to Cat Lady's comment, she says she is working on a DSA canvas now, and it's killing her. She says she loves the image. It was bought early in her diamond painting journey. She says, but she can't stand that it is DSA, so double-sided adhesive. She said, thanks for the video and see you next time. Yeah, I used to never mind between double-sided adhesive and poured glue. It didn't seem to bother me, but it does seem the longer that I've diamond painted, the more it actually does annoy me, double-sided tape compared to poured glue. You just don't have the same amount of wiggle room as you do with poured glue. You just can't like nudge diamonds into the right place as well. It does grip it pretty hard, so you know, that's probably another reason I don't particularly want to take the diamonds off the other one. It grips it really, really well. But sometimes it's like, it's just that bit too much. Like the diamonds don't need to be gripped that hard. Sometimes you need the wiggle room. But yeah, I don't have too many double-sided adhesive left in my stash, I don't think. I think most of them are poured glue. Mops the Tops said she would totally enjoy the removing of those creamy drills. She said to her it's quicker to maybe remove every other one, and then when you're tired, take a rest and go back to it. I think must just be two different sort of levels of enjoyment, because to me I think it'd just be frustrating as anything. It's the getting the tweezers in to unpick them. It's not doing a tedious task. I'd be happy doing a tedious task. You know, I can quite happily stick an audio book on and, you know, just, you know, while away the time doing something like that, you know, like that. I'd probably be more willing to do it for somebody else than I'd be willing to do it for myself. I think I am just drawn to the fact of doing a heaven and earth design on a poured glue will be different, a little bit of a different scope on working with a heaven and earth design and all that sort of stuff. And I think it's that pull that's really making me sway towards that and actually doing a heaven and earth design in a different way. Okay, that glue dot just decided to get major sticky for a moment. Let's try that. We've actually got a fair amount. There is still some diamonds like this one that we're just putting one in of. But there's actually quite a fair few bits of blockiness on this. It's just a yellowy orange and then a brown. Amanda, she says, hi Rebecca. She says she's sorry she hasn't been around. Her family is actually having a tough week this week. Oh, I am sorry to hear that. It's not fun to have a tough week, that's for sure. She says one of her family members has had a medical emergency and is currently in hospital. And they'll speak about it more, she said, maybe on a later date. You're right in the thick of it now. Just take the time to process you and yours and be there for you and yours. She says, needing prayers and good vibes if you have any. I will send any I can your way, that's for sure. And just, you know, say just look after you and yours and take one day at a time, because there's not much, you know, that's the best that you can do, and that is, you know, the best thing to do as well. She says, anyway, she says, on to your black and white diamond painting. Bless you for taking the time to go with my very small dilemmas in the grand scheme of things. She says she would have to start completely over on it, she says, because of her OCD. She says, but she realises that it might be a bit much to start over. She says maybe start anew or do half and half. She says, much love. She says she will be watching, but she won't be commenting as much. She says, love you, Rebecca. And she says, you don't know how much your videos have been helping my anxiety. Oh, well, thank you so much for being here, Amanda. Do not feel like you need to comment at all. I'm so happy that, you know, if and when you do get a chance to watch, that they are helping you and helping you through what is a really, really tough time by the sounds of it. But yeah, just make sure that you look after you and yours to the best of your ability, and just be there. And yeah, we will be thinking of you, that's for sure. Jan, she says, hi, Rebecca. She says, personally, she would start again on a poured glue canvas. She says she certainly understands how painful it is to remove lots of drills. She says she's sure that if I left it as it was, no one would really notice the difference except you. She says, and if you're anything like me, it would drive you crazy. Yeah, I can block out to a certain extent. If it was going up in my home and I definitely knew it was going up in the house, then I don't think it would have even been a question to be asked. It's because there is no plans for it to go up in my house at the moment that has made me very much which way do I go. And I think the more people have sort of, you know, the more suggestions to redo it have come in, and the thought of poured glue and doing it differently, I think, is what swayed me. She also said, by the way, it's going to be amazing when finished. This one definitely will be, and I'm not redoing this one. That is not an option. I'll tell you that straight up right now. This one being redone is not happening. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing it, but a redo, nope, 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 nope. Not going to happen. Jen Jams, she says, over the Heaven and Earth design black and white, she says it would drive her mad, looking and knowing that it was there. She says she thinks that I should get a new canvas. She says, but that's just me. She says, thanks again for your great content. Many people that have sort of, you know, very similar personalities in what would, you know, make them redo something or would drive them mad over something. There's quite a few of us, by the sounds of it. How on earth I have got so many different colours in here, I don't know. I can imagine I've picked up those 3 939s by not shaking all the diamonds out my tray properly, and they've got caught up with the next colour I've put in, but I have no idea where that pink one's come from. Cat Lady said she got here 10 minutes late, she said, as she was held back at work. She said, if you're not going to put it up, she said, then she would to be tempted personally to still bin it, she says, as it would annoy her continuing to work on it. She says then return to it with a poured glue canvas, she says, when you fancy doing it again. Yeah, I think that's what I'm swaying towards. In relation to the diamonds, I'm not sure. I need to price that up. And if I do, then maybe it'll sort of be a whole thing in relation to getting diamonds and a canvas all at the same time, as sort of another way to do a heaven and earth design. Plus, Ever Moments drills are kind of nice. They are really, really nice drills, which what makes me think I'm going to price it up and see. If it does cost an absolute fortune, then no, because I do know I have spare diamonds that could do it. But it would be kind of nice to work on one in a different way to this. Not only for me, but also, you know, as just two different ways of doing a heaven and earth design on my channel. And then I'll have the blank canvas later on. Cher loves orange. She said, if you decide to start the black and white over, she said she thinks it would be a great opportunity to show the difference of working on a heaven and earth design on poured glue. Exactly my thought. She said also, she said she would like to see how I prepare the canvas for this project. She says maybe one day she would tackle one too. See, that's another thought as well, how to prepare the canvas for a poured glue. I think I'd probably have to do it very, very similar to how I do a large diamond painting, and sort of, you know, do it in sections and sort of block off bits with my cover paper. But that would be something I would have to think about, because at the moment I cut the top cover of double-sided tape to suit me, whereas clear canvases, clear covers over poured glue canvases don't always quite want to play the same game. Grey Legrand, she says, hi Rebecca. She says, what DMC shade of white is on the black and white heaven and earth design? They're actually both on there. 3865 and 5200 are both on there. I think the difference is one of my spares, my 5200 that I started with, it wasn't quite as pure a white. It was more like a 3865. You know, whether it just be probably two different manufacturers that I've got them from. And I didn't particularly notice even while working on it. I only noticed when I ran out of my original 5200 and went to get my next lot of 5200, which was actually a pure white, that I realised I was sort of hitting a problem, and it definitely did not look right. So yeah, it's actually got both different shades in it. She says, since you're using spares, she says, why not just dump all the different whites into a jar and mix them up so you don't end up with another possible shading issue. Yes, that if I continue with my spares and don't decide to get diamonds from Ever Moment, which has only just popped into my head as a thought. So I haven't priced any of it up, and it could very well be that I go, no, that's just not worth the cost. So yeah, while that has just entered my head, if I do decide that it is not worth the cost and I do it with my spares, then I will probably I'll probably pull out all my 5200 that looks white as white, but then still put them all into one thing, mix them all up and use them from there. And then I won't have the same issue again. because it is the fact that you can see where I've changed from one bag of diamonds to another. It's not the fact of it being mixed up. I don't mind it being mixed up. I just don't want to pull off diamonds to mix them up on poured glue. Nancy, she says she's not sure if she could trash the one that does have mixed drills. She says she might pull some off and mix the colours. She says she is doing the same one starting in January of 24. So yeah, suggestion then for you based on the discussions that we've had. If you haven't bought the diamonds like separately, all at the same time from the same supplier, and you're using your spares, then mix up your 5200s, or even all of them, but definitely your 5200s before you start. And then you shouldn't face the same issues. Hopefully. We can always hope you won't. Jamie says, did your mum finish her painting? She's not quite finished yet, but she is ahead of me. She's working on paper, and she is on her last page, I think. I think she said, or her last row of pages. I'm sure she said she was at the 9/300s, and I need to finish this row to start my 900s, which I was hoping to have done, but as I've now admitted to myself, it's not going to. So yeah, she's now back to being ahead of me, and I don't have the time to catch up. She is working on a poured glue canvas, which she does really enjoy, but she is also primarily using spares, though she has purchased some, I think, of the ones that were higher numbers. And yeah, it's looking amazing. It's looking absolutely amazing. Anna says, if you decide to start the smaller Heaven and Earth design and want to get rid of the old one, she said she would be interested in purchasing it depending on the price. Well, message me or email me, Anna. It's yours. As soon as I have placed an order for a replacement canvas, and therefore solidified the fact that I am going to be restarting it, then I am more than happy to send it to you. It will actually please me greatly that it will have a use, you know, and will not be completely a complete waste of time. So yeah, bob me an email, Anna, and we'll sort something out with that one, but you are more than welcome to just have it. Depending, I can't remember where you live. So it, you know, if postage is ridiculous, I might want a little contribution towards it, but apart from that, it is definitely yours. And I don't want anything for the canvas itself. First person to ask, you've got dibs. Dibs yours. Kim says, oh my gosh, she said she has gone back in time. She is currently watching my Zesty Advent videos, which is 2021 videos. She says there was a comment about the difference between flip-flops and thongs. Yes, Australians call flip-flops thongs, which is not thongs. Thongs are not shoes in the UK. They're underwear. She says her husband and herself are boomers. She says, so we are in our 60s. She says, back in the day, we used the term thongs to refer to flip-flops in the US. She said, of course, thongs are not something, she says, that you bring up in conversation today. She says she has had to teach her husband to update his terminology to flip-flops, because he was actually still using the term thongs as recent as a few years ago. She says today in the US, she says the term flip-flops is the term you use to prevent being totally inappropriate bringing someone's thongs into the conversation. It is amazing how language changes, and sometimes even just the use of certain words changes completely over time. No wonder we're all confused half the time, because yeah, everything just keeps changing and keeps getting a new designation as to its meaning. Nellie, she says, hi Rebecca. She says, you are in a dilemma. She said the same dilemma she was in when she was doing her dolphin painting. She said she would redo it. She said you would not be happy doing it, doing your black and white otherwise. Thank you, Nellie. Yeah, you all know me so well. There is a part of me that could have left it, but it was a very small part. And if I'd been replacing it with another double-sided canvas and had no other benefits to changing it, then I probably would have just, yeah, decided, nah, I'm not bothering. But the benefit of trying a poured glue canvas, I'm actually really kind of hoping that the diamonds won't cost a fortune either, because I do like the idea of doing a heaven and earth design, but with diamonds that are all from the same manufacturer as the canvases, because you can get diamonds from a manufacturer that is actually different to where the canvas is from, and they don't necessarily fit as nice, because sometimes it's the camera that size and sometimes it's not. Which one's that one? 834. I missed an 800. Let me just grab this 834. Where are you? There you are. One tiny little one in this corner that I missed. So let me just get that one, and then we can finish up the browns. There's only 15 of them. That's probably why I missed it. Right, let's go back to these. Try and get this finished off. Kathy, she said someone mentioned doing a cross-stitch project from a diamond painting canvas. She said she thinks that the Paint Gem minis would be a great way to do that and to give that a go. She says every time she sees Paint Gems, she does imagine doing them as a cross-stitch. That is an awesome idea, Kathy. I think that would be in effect a cross-stitch pattern. If you use the canvas as a cross-stitch pattern, that would be quite an easier to follow than any other cross-stitch because of its size. Yet you could still make yourself like a nice selection of, say, the safari animals would be quite cute as little mini cross-stitch. Flowers and stuff would as well. That would be a really nice idea to, in effect, do both and use the Paint Gem canvas as your cross-stitch chart. And I reckon that would be quite a bit easier to follow as well than trying to do it on a big diamond painting, because, say, marking it, you'd sort of have to place your diamonds to mark where you'd been. Whereas with the Paint Gem Mini, I suppose that's a lot more manageable to do. Or at least I think it would be. That is an awesome idea. She also says, Kathy also says, as to the black and white Heaven and Earth design, she said she has been in a similar situation. Oh, I don't want that one, I want those two. And it was a real struggle to just ditch the painting that she was having a problem with. She said she did decide to start over on a new canvas. She says, so since you have a large area that doesn't have diamonds placed yet, she said she wonders if in effect I could cut off where I've placed them and then continue and save the rest for another time. She says this may give you a certain sense of satisfaction, and then you can start with a brand new poured glue canvas. Yeah, actually, after you, as I'm reading out your comments about cutting it off, I probably actually could cut off that top part of the canvas and still have enough canvas to do the project again. And technically then it would just be a redo. I wouldn't need to actually purchase anything to do it. I could just cut that top strip off because I really haven't done that much in the grand scheme of things. And the canvas itself was 100 centimetres long. And I need 82. I need 82. So it's a possibility that I could cut that top section off and still have enough canvas. But I'm giving it to Anna now. Anna's getting the canvas now, and yeah, I'm just going to get a poured glue. But yeah, that if it wasn't for passing it on, then I would definitely have kept the rest of the canvas and only got rid of, you know, the top section, and would have kept hold of it for a future project, or indeed passed it on to somebody else for a project. But now it's, the whole thing's going to Anna and she can do what she wishes. Streaks Me said, hello Rebecca, said they did see my video on the black and white painting. They're thinking for as much as you have done and as much as you have said that you don't like popping off drills, she said she thinks that I should just scrap it. She said you noticed it and it may be just as easy to do it over again. She said she did the very same thing with a Minnie Mouse painting. She says thankfully it was not a large amount to pop off. And she chose to redo her mess ups, whereas Minnie's hair and ears are blackish. She'd placed white drills. She said she did have a laugh about it, and said to hubby, hey look, I've just aged Minnie. She says, but her vote is to start over. Well, I say thank you all so much for your opinions and your suggestions. There's a few comments. Let's have a look. So Crafty Gamer says, can you tell from 5 or 10 feet away? She says, as once you finish, you'll never be that close to the canvas, which is true. Magic Moonchild says, can you link or tell me the name of the video where you unbox the Crown Jewel canvas? She remembers watching it way back, but she'd like to watch it again as her memory is bad. Yes, I will link that for you. Anne also says she really enjoys watching my videos. Thank you, Anne. And Kaz says she's bought a blank canvas from Evermoment and she'll let me know how she goes on. Also, Susan, she says, as you go back and forth through all the comments, she says, all that I can think is there a reason that the expression, once you see it, you can't unsee it, is so popular. She says she thinks she knows which way I'll decide, but she'll have to find out if she was right. She says, meanwhile, thanks for letting us chime in on your decision. Well, I wonder if you got it right, Susan, as to... Sorry, I'm trying to find Google Translate at the same time because I've got a comment. I've got a comment in French, I think. Yeah, it's French. Okay, so I've only got a couple of comments left on my Heaven and Earth design as I'm filming this, which is why I'm like, let's just finish the comments and then I know I'm up to date and you'll all know my decision on the canvas and I won't be questioning it next time. So I'm definitely going to get a poured glue canvas for my black and white Heaven and Earth design. I'm going to look at the pricing for getting the drills, just because as a project as a whole, because I'm restarting it, it might be nice to do it as a complete project, which will be different to the way this one was done. But that will depend on price. So Yamina, though there is, that's just me guessing where the word ends. She says, how do you get your diamond painting on a tablet? Is it an app you downloaded? So this is the first time I've seen this and it's great. Said even in France, they're on a lot of bans and they've never seen that. Sorry, they do not speak English, but she could translate if I answer her. Okay, so I will pop a link for you to my videos. I will also write a little bit letting you know that it is an app, but this is a cross stitch pattern in my tablet. Okay, last Heaven and Earth, is it last? No, nearly last comment. Melissa, she is doing the black and white Heaven and Earth design in rounds. She is currently on 67.44% and she is really enjoying it, and that is really good going. Genula, she says she's a little bit late to the party as she's been catching up slowly, but if it was for her, she would start fresh on a poured glue canvas, as it's too tempting to say no to. Even if it wasn't on her wall, she would know it's there. She says then, to take away the feeling of wasting the original canvas, she says she would just chop off the section I've started and maybe upcycle it for a future smaller Heaven and Earth design. Awesome suggestions. Thank you all to all of you. Even those, even those that in effect I've not gone with, i.e. picking them off or changing them about. The points you've made have been ones that have gone through my head, and they've been very, very valid points. It's the poured glue canvas that's swaying me. At the end of the day, it's the fact that it's a poured glue canvas that is making me go down the redo route. So that will come in the future at some point. I will probably let you guys know whether I have decided to order the drills or not, but that will be it will just take me a little bit to double check the canvas size, pull up the amount of diamonds again and see how much that would all cost. And you never know, if I get in the right headspace to be in the mood for it, could be done this week, it could be a month away, but I'll let you know in relation to that, and that can be a project to come next year, and I can do that while saving up spare drills for my other Heaven and Earth design, which I don't think I'll do my other canvas with fresh drills, partly because there's just so many more colours. I'm kind of hoping the fact that there's only 15 colours in this black and white, that actually purchasing the drills because they're the same colour won't cost as much. But again, I've not worked out pricing, so we shall see. But anyway, I am going to leave it at that. I'm caught up with comments as I'm filming this. I've got advent prep to do. So you may see more of this done by next week. You may find that I'm here. I'm not going to make any promises on anything, but bit by bit, I can see the bottom. I can see the bottom, so we will get there eventually. It is here. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll speak to you all again soon.